Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Fans, welcome back for Working Fans Podcast, episode 130. Today, we have a very special interview for you. But first, as always, we are brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 1, written by Vinnie Berry, 35 short stories across the wrestling landscape, available at WrestleVille.com and LanceByChance.com. This book was written by the man who also wrote Lance by Chance, Wrestling is a Von Erich, where Kevin Vaughn becomes Lance Von Erich and then settles into being Lance Vaughn. This is an amazing book. If you think his story inside the wrestling industry is interesting, his life outside of it is way more interesting. And speaking of interesting, today we have a very special guest. He established the record label Striving for Togetherness Records, who released Vision of Disorder's earliest recordings, a band I'm a big fan of. He is the host of the Kevin Gill Show. He was featured in the NYHC documentary that came out in 1995. He was a part of Rockstar Games before they were Rockstar Games. He's been a part of Eidos Interactive. He is currently a commentator for GCW. He's been on the road to the Hammerstein, and on Sunday, it will not only be Kevin Gill on GCW, but the whole fucking world on GCW. We are here with your boy, OG Kevin Gill. Kevin, I am sorry I can't be around for this interview because I could sit here talking to you about hardcore music and video games way before we got to the wrestling, but I'm going to hand the interview off to the man they call Dave, and we're going to talk about wrestling, video games, and of course, GCW at the Hammerstein Ballroom this Sunday. I'm getting choked up because it's available on FITE TV. It's available on regular pay-per-view, and we are going to get into it with Kevin. Dave, take it away.
Let's get to the weekend. We'll start off with, I think it's a little bit under the radar here, but the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. Oh, man, I'm just going to go down this real quick for you.
Please.
We'll talk about it. Jerry Lynn will be inducted, and by Sean Waltman, X-Pac 123 Kid. Homicide, the godfather of independent wrestling, inducted by Chris Dickinson. Dave Prazak will be there, inducted by CM Punk. CM Punk's going to be here. LaFisto, Lenny Leonard inducting her. We got Ruckus inducted by Sanjay Dutt. And
wow,
I don't know who's inducted, but Tracy Smothers also, who well-deserved, will be inducted. Like,
yes,
that's a hell of a lineup, man.
They have not announced Tracy's inductor yet. I'm not sure if they will announce it or it'll just unfold on the air, live and free on FITE TV as well as YouTube. But of course, if you want to join us in the room, it's at the Cutting Room, New York City, and tickets are still available on the Cutting Room website. It's going to be a lot of love in the room, just to be in the room with those legends as they speak from the heart, from the soul. And to be there in a world-class, world-famous venue, it's a really prestigious affair, and so nice to be able to honor all those people you mentioned. We could go on for an entire series of shows about them and their contributions and what many of them have meant to us personally. We wouldn't be here today without every one of those people.
1,000%. And I think it just really adds to this weekend too, doing this, honoring these guys. And I think that's always been the way. I mean, even back in the day, you know, the WrestleManias and the accesses and now the independent week. It's just awesome when you see it. Just feels like a bigger event.
Yeah, and it's bigger than life, and it's to honor people that are bigger than life. You know what I mean? And I think it's just so important to do that, because wrestling can obviously be a very hard business, and there's a lot that goes into it, and that's before you get into the social media side of things.
Yes.
So I think anytime you could give people their flowers, give them their acknowledgments, their props, their respect for their contributions, because believe it or not, even the people that you think of as legends and icons and all these things, they are, but sometimes they need to really, not even sometimes, they really need to know what they mean. It's that important, and it's special thanks to, it's not just Game Changer Wrestling putting on that Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame, but it's our friends at Orange Crush Magazine and Pabst Blue Ribbon. So hats off to them sincerely, because it takes a village to pull something off of this magnitude. And here we are.
And I'm going to read this card quickly and I'm going to get all these matches down here, and we'll just talk about the card in general. But I want to get all these because I think this card is so fucking stacked.
Insane.
Yeah. Pre-show, Jack Cartwheel.
Well, it's a kickoff.
Oh, kickoff. Okay. 6-way scramble. Yeah. Jack Cartwheel, Dante Leon, Ninja Mac, Nick Wayne, Grim Reaper, Alex Zane. It's insane. I love Nick Wayne. The son of Buddy Wayne has turned up too. I think that's, again, you just don't know who's going to show up. And
what a great kid Nick Wayne is. A top tier talent at an impossibly young age, and as humble and nice and kind and considerate as the day is long. It's an honor to know him and work alongside him, and to just be in the room with him at this pivotal time in his career, and knowing the multi-generational component of it. I'm a big fan of that. I love generations and dynasties and families in wrestling. To me, that's always been a part of the magic. Worked families are fine, but shoot families and shoot bloodlines and dynasties have that extra kick, you know, because it's real.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But so I don't lose track here. Matt Cardona, Joey Janella. I love the way this was set up with the classic Joey doing the Miss Elizabeth type photos and everything with Chelsea Green. Talk about two guys that really, I think, know how to build a match too.
Oh man, they to build a match and to deliver a match in both cases. And Joey Janella has proven countless times that he can make magic. He's just a magician in the ring, of that he's able to take performers, of whether they're performers of different generations or eras of wrestling, or whether they're the contemporary state-of-the-art wrestler. You know, it's been everyone from Marty Jannetty to Leo Rush to PCO to, you know, all over the spectrum, to Scotty Too Hottie. Joey makes magic every time he's in the ring, but I think this time the magic is going to be a dark magic, a very violent form of magic, because, you know, you saw what happened at Super Gabby's toy storage space, or dollhouse, whatever. I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but yeah, I just can't wait. And you know, you have to be impressed with what, despite his despicable, he's like a super douche canoe, you know what I mean? Like just a king of the assholes, Matt Cardona, but he's so full of himself and everything, but there is some foundation to it, you know what I mean, in terms of what he's been able to do, in terms of reinventing himself, and then to step into the ring with Nick Gage, to do what he did, to endure that, and not just endure it, not just survive it, not just be able to come back from it, but to win the title, you know, albeit maybe under questionable circumstances. His run has been legendary, and he quit already, so I was very thankful that we didn't have to see him or them anymore. But now they're back for one more time, the only time. If you want to see the complete and utter destruction of the Cardona dynasty, please tune in on FITE TV. Call your local cable provider or get it on FITE TV, because I can't wait. I just can't wait for Joey to regulate on Matt Cardona. It's gone on for too long, and it ends. It's over. Goodbye, Matt Cardona.
I love it. You sound I'm so I mean, this card's fucking stacked. I look at the next match I see out here. I got Jeff Jarrett, former WCW World Champion,
Sure.
against Effie. I think this is going to be awesome for Effie more than anything. I think Effie's going to shine, and I'm super excited. But I am excited just to see how Jeff Jarrett at this stage of the game and everything. This is interesting.
Jeffy versus Effie. We've seen a litany of stars across wrestling and even outside of wrestling become obsessed with Effie, seemingly enthralled with Effie. Matt Cardona went through a big time Effie obsession, and now we see here Jeff Jarrett, or as some say, Jeffy, is possibly on the same trail. But the thing is, it's very unclear to me what is motivating all this from Jeff Jarrett. You know, he showed up, he brutally attacked Effie with a guitar. No words were spoken. He repeated his actions against Alley Catch, and he's just extra disturbing the nature of the dragging people around by their heads with this shattered guitar with all these splinters and the string ends all stabbing people in their face while this is happening. And I don't understand why. I don't even want to speculate why. You know, his history and legacy in the business is well documented and well respected from the territory days on forward. You know, there's no Memphis wrestling without the Jarrett family.
1,000%.
So I don't know what it's all about, but I know that Effie is never been one to back down from a fight. And whether it's against Nick Gage, whether it's against members of the Second Gear crew, whether it's against Matt Cardona, it doesn't matter who you put against Effie. Effie is fine. And I think Jeff Jarrett's going to find out that while being a well-respected mind in pro wrestling, being a well-respected behind-the-scenes figure in pro wrestling, by being a top podcaster in pro wrestling, by being rumored to have all these new business plans for the year in pro wrestling, none of that is equal to Effie's overall magnitude of greatness. So as great as Jeff Jarrett is, and he is great, don't get me wrong, I don't think Jeff Jarrett has ever seen anyone like Effie. And when that bell rings, I don't know that Jeff Jarrett's ready.
More reason to buy it. I love it. Guys should try to check this out. There's a video somewhere online too, hyping this next match that was just awesome. Alley Catch and Ruby Soho. This is good stuff, man. I mean, this is an awesome women's match. Soho's doing great things in AEW. Alley Catch, I feel, is like one of the centerpieces of Game Changer Wrestling.
100%. I always say this: Alley Catch is the best unsigned wrestler in North America, and I think we're very fortunate to have her, and to have her up on top of the stage on the main show, and to face someone that is a dream opponent for her, but to do it on her terms in her house. You know, she's not going somewhere else to someone else's television or whatever, or somewhere. Ruby Soho is coming to the Hammerstein Ballroom, sold out before she was even announced, and she's going to go to war with Alley Catch, man. If you guys haven't seen it, as well as the amazing promo, the Giancarlo or vignette short film that Giancarlo put together for that program, there's also an incredible post-match interview, if you want to call it that, or promo that Alley Catch cut on the microphone in Chicago that was absolutely, like, people had chills. It was just magnificent. And Allie's worked so hard for it, and she magnifies and exemplifies the spirit of GCW. She is a last outlaw. You know what I mean? Everyone is told they don't belong. They're not good enough. You're too much this. You're not enough that. Yet somehow, despite the critics and the cynics, Hammerstein Ballroom is sold out. Call your local cable provider.
I love it. We're halfway through this card. I feel like this is kind of turned into we're pumping everything up, but fuck it, I love it, and you're willing to do it, so thank you.
Fuck yeah.
All right, next match. Then we're halfway through. Team Bandito, ASF, Bandito, Laredo Kid, Ares, Demonic Flamita, and Gringo Loco.
Man, Team Bandito versus Team Gringo. Bandito, of course, needs no introduction. His reign, some say his reign still continues as Ring of Honor world champion. And to have your finger to the pulse of Lucha Libre, not many people have it more than Bandito. His in-ring work is spectacular. The people he surrounds himself with is spectacular. But his team has their hands full, certainly, because Gringo Loco is no fucking joke. Gringo Loco, hands down, the most talented luchador from this side of the border, I think, that's ever been. his magic in all the scrambles and in every other format of match he's ever been placed in GCW, I think speaks volumes. The base god is able to do things in the ring that no one should be able to do. And he's got his homies too. So when you just I think of the legendary Mysterio and Juventud, or Mysterio and Psychosis, and all these legendary matches, whether it be at the ECW arena or on WCW Nitro, that kind of showed the whole world what's possible with modern lucha style. That's my prediction, and that's what I'm expecting out of that 6-person lucha team-based war.
Absolutely. Fearless. All those guys are fearless. Next match, be a little easier to preview, but I will say this. As we talked about a little, off air, being long wrestling fans, I was always a mark for surprises and mystery. And the Briscoes defending the Game Changer wrestler against we don't even know. And, I want to see it.
I know. It's so compelling, and there's so much talent announced for the show that doesn't even have a match assigned yet. And then there's always the possibility of, but what else? Like, what if the challengers aren't people that are part of what's been announced? You know what I mean? Anything's possible. There's been a lot of talk online. I think there's several frontline candidates, and I don't think anyone I was going to say no one loses anyway, but in a way the Briscoes could, you know what I mean? Because when you don't know who you're facing, it's a lot harder to prepare for it. But the Briscoes, I sound like a broken record, but the Briscoes, is anyone better in tag team wrestling than the Briscoes right now? Untouchable. To be able to call their matches in Game Changer Wrestling, to see and study their work up close like that, and the respect that the fans and the other wrestlers have for them, those guys are beyond next level, man. If they were born a decade or two earlier, they would have been, on top with the Road Warriors. You know what I mean? They're just like that day, and the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express and everybody. Like, they're just, to me, they're the best tag team in the world right now. And I know other teams like FTR claim that, and in their mind or in their world, they might be, but a lot of people make a strong case for the Second Gear crew. You know what I mean? And they're a unique force to be reckoned with. So anything's possible. Who knows what it might be?
Yeah, that's one of the great selling points of this too. Again, we got to see. And it's not like we're not giving you an outstanding card. So you're getting
right.
That's like just show up. Yeah. Okay. So the next match, to me, this actually might be the match of the night in terms of just action, which is saying something since we talked about it. But the Grab the Brass Ring ladder match, Jordan Oliver, PCO, Leo Rush, Alex Colon, Tony Deppen, and Jimmy Lloyd. I feel like all of those people have had like awesome 2021s, and
it's just so crazy, and the opportunity and what it represents. Any shot at any of the Game Changer Wrestling championships at any time is what the holder of the brass ring then has access to. So when you think of that contrast of styles, you know what I mean? You have Jimmy Lloyd, the master of the scramble, who's not afraid to get more than down and dirty. Alex Colon, the Mr. Three-Peat himself. But has Alex Colon ever faced a juggernaut like PCO? Do you know what I mean? The French-Canadian Frankenstein. That guy he's not human. He's a monster. You know what I mean? You add to that the technicality and sheer assholeness personified of Tony Deppen, the incredible high flying and everything that Leo Rush brings to the table. And it just goes on and on. I mean, that match is stacked, like absolutely, absolutely stacked.
Yeah, and we got two more. This is just an insane card. Again, Jonathan Gresham defending that Ring of Honor title against Blake Christian. If you watched the last show, both these guys coming off big wins. I think this is another sleeper.
Oh yeah, Blake Christian has been one of the greats for a while now, and he's reemerged on the scene with a whole new level of passion and dedication, and it's like what he's delivering in the ring right now it seems like superhuman. You know what I mean? Like, he seems primed, he seems ready, he seems as strong as Gresham is, as unfuckwithable as Gresham is on the mat. Christian, I think, brings that to the game, but brings a whole other set of skills. And I think we're going to see a pure rules match, maybe amongst the likes of which we've never seen before, because the stakes are so amplified, not just for the prestigious title that's on the line, but the platform and the audience and what it means. You know what I mean? Like, John Gresham, there's no way he wants to go back to Terminus and wants to go back to Ring of Honor without that belt. You know what I mean? And with all his various appearances and everything. And Blake Christian wants to show the world that he's the guy that's going to basically take the show. He's going to steal the show every single time. It doesn't matter where you slot him. It doesn't matter anything, because Blake Christian's future is determined by Blake Christian and his abilities in the ring. There's no other limitation on him anymore. So therefore, Blake Christian, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's Blake Christian's night, but we'll find out.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a good one. His ability, he can do it everywhere. And that main event coming off the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame induction, Homicide gets his shot at the Game Changer Wrestling title against the returning Jon Moxley.
What can be said? Jon Moxley, one of the illest to ever do it. But then you want to talk about fucking Homicide, man. It's two legends. It's two legends of independent wrestling, and obviously both of their work has far exceeded the scope of independent wrestling throughout their storied careers. But as two like Mount Rushmore representations of independent wrestling, Moxley and Homicide, just a war for the ages, a dream match, a match I don't think you could really see anywhere else but GCW, and how fitting to have it in that room on that platform, and to have Mox back in wrestling with the title. He never lost, and Homicide went through a lot to get this opportunity. So, man, the words main event have never been more aptly applied to this. It's going to be special for sure. I'm sure Moxley wants to show and prove that he's still Moxley, but Homicide, I think, wants that big win on the big platform, and he wants to win the biggest prize in the sport in his home city. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ingredients and a lot of potential for magic. There's a lot of potential for violence. So that's kind of really the ultimate formula, in my humble opinion.
Great way to close the show. Absolutely. Well-deserved main event. Kevin, we've talked about a lot. We turned this into a countdown